Hello, my name is BrianKlimowski, and I'm the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service in Flagstaff, Arizona. And it's our job not only to provide you with the warnings when any life-threatening weather might be hitting this area, but also to provide that information that gives you the day-to-day information in a monsoon outlook, for instance, in this case, to help you prepare for what's coming. And that's basically what I'm going to be talking about today. Is I'm going to give you a brief monsoon outlook, kind of look at what this portfolio looks like of what the monsoon means, and then talk about our warning program. What does it mean when the National Weather Service, for instance, issues a flash flood warning, specifically in the context of the slide burn area? Okay. First, let's talk about the monsoon outlook. Right now, we've been looking at data every day, and we don't see any indication of the start of what we call that monsoon circulation, that seasonal change in the wind direction that brings the moist air from the south into the area and sets off almost daily thunderstorms in this area. We don't see any indication of that circulation starting yet. The average date is normally about July 7th. But right now we can say that at least through June, it looks like we're going to be dry, or at least mostly dry through most of June at this time. What we do see when we coordinate with the Climate Prediction Center and other agencies, that there is a slightly enhanced chance for a greater than normal monsoon. Basically what I'm talking about here is any monsoon season, there's a pretty wide range of the possibilities for how much rain might fall. If average is right in the middle and my arms kind of represent that spread of possibilities, this year it's kind of enhanced a little bit toward an enhanced likelihood that maybe we're going to have a heavier than normal monsoon. That's what the current forecast models are showing, and that's in agreement with the graphic that you'll see if you just go online to the Climate Prediction Center. Those areas that you see in green here is that area to where there's that enhanced chance that the monsoon, or at least in this case, what it's indicating, the rainfall in July, August, and September could be above normal. Again, it's just a slight movement of that spread of possibilities, but something we need to be aware of. What I have here is an interesting graphic, and it kind of shows you the progression of a typical monsoon from a rain gauge that we have in the middle of Oak Creek Canyon. Along the bottom here is time advancing from left to right, mid-June all the way through mid-September. And on the left-hand side, and I apologize, these numbers are so slow, is the amount of rainfall accumulated through the season. So as we accumulate rainfall and as it rains over the area, these lines bump up with every rainstorm that we have. Last year is in green here. You can see we first started to measure precipitation in Oak Creek Canyon just after July 9th. Everywhere you see a big bump here is probably a rainfall event that would cause this year some type of flash flood response near the burn area. Okay? The monsoon has set in early recently. For instance, here in 2006, which is the blue line, you see we started to get rainfall and significant rainfall by late June. It's also conversely started quite late some years. Here in 2006, we really didn't get the first significant rainfalls in Oak Creek Canyon until late July. Okay, so there's a broad spectrum of possibilities here. But notice that all three of these years ended up receiving almost the exact same amount. And in this case, it was over 10 inches by the time that the monsoon was over. Okay? When we look at that amount of rainfall, that could cause the debris flows that have been talked about, or the flash flooding along those steep slopes of the west side of Oak Creek. Those are the areas we're most concerned about for a impact from the rainfall. It might only take a quarter inch of rainfall in 15 minutes to cause debris to start moving. That's not much when you're talking about a season total of almost 10 inches of rain. Okay, keep that in mind. In 2013, for instance, we measured 9 days there at our gauge in the middle of Oak Creek Canyon that had over a ½ inch of rain. Okay, and that's just at one location. In 2012, we had 6 days. In 2011, I think it was only 4. But there's a great variability, but understand that if we do get the average amount of precipitation that we're expecting, between 7, 8, maybe 9 inches in that area, that we're going to have multiple events that are likely going to cause significant responses over the burned area. Okay? Let's go through what we do know and what we maybe are not that sure of. What we do know is that any thunderstorm over this area is capable of causing a significant response. It is capable of creating a life-threatening impact over the burned area. We know that there are going to be damaging and life-threatening debris flows, rock slides, and flooding, especially on that west slope of the upper part of Oak Creek Canyon in the burned area. We can expect it. It's going to happen. We know the climatology. We know the response in these areas. We know that some debris is likely going to make it into West Fork and into Oak Creek itself. Now, what are we less sure of? We're less sure of that when rain falls over the burned area, just what the details of the impacts are going to be. It's very hard to tell what debris is going to move, what debris is not going to move. How fast is water going to run down these slopes when it's passing through areas that are severely burned and not so severely burned? What's the magnitude of the downstream flooding going to be? Downstream of the burned area, let's say Grasshopper Point. Let's say Midgley Bridge. For the larger events in that spectrum, yes, we could see some higher water in those areas. For the storms that are on the lower end of that, we're not likely going to see impacts far downstream in the burned area. Okay? But that's an area of uncertainty that we need to prepare for, because we don't know what the impact of the debris in Oak Creek is going to do. Is it going to dam up? Is it going to flow through? Is it just going to shuffle these trees and rocks further downstream for a couple miles? We really don't know. We don't know what the intensity of the monsoon is going to be. We have a spectrum of ideas, but we know that in most cases, the monsoon is probably going to be defined for you by what the worst storm of the season is, okay? And just how bad that worst storm is. At the National Weather Service, our primary job is to issue warnings when life-threatening weather is coming your way. And for the slide burn area, that's our flash flood warning. That's the product we're going to use when we see heavy rainfall, which is already occurring over the area, or likely moving into the area, to give you as much warning as possible when these debris flows and flooding might be occurring. Okay, understand, and I've already said this once, that the greatest immediate threat will be from those debris flows and the flooding down those steep west slopes of the upper part of Oak Creek Canyon over the burn area. And understand that this type of flooding happens very, very quickly. Okay? You will have only minutes to respond once the flash flood warning is issued. Please understand that if you live within one of the areas of great threat on the west side of Oak Creek, within the burn area, and you hear the flash flood warning alert, the sirens in the canyon, understand that you have to take action now. You don't have time to think. You have to know where you're going to go, know your safe locations, and have a plan to get there. We issue other products as well at the National Weather Service. Flood advisories are those flood products which are issued when non-life-threatening flooding might be expected, something more along the lines of a nuisance flood. We don't anticipate too many of these being issued over the burned area, as most any rainfall which is going to occur is going to cause a life-threatening response. Occasionally you'll also see the flash flood watch issued. This is when over a large part of northern Arizona, for instance, there's a much greater than normal chance of numerous thunderstorms causing very heavy rainfall. That's when we issue the flash flood watch. Understand that most of the flooding, which is likely to occur this year, is not going to occur under flash flood watch conditions. It's going to occur on those average monsoon days when we have the 30 to 40% chance, maybe 50% chance of thunderstorms, and that's the day that it hits the canyon. There's a number of factors that go into making a decision When it comes to issuing the flash flood warnings, I can talk a little bit more to you out in the foyer after this presentation, but it's actually a pretty complex process. But the meteorologists that we have on station have an average of almost 15 years of experience in forecasting for northern Arizona. They know what they're doing, and they're going to be working for you during these events this year. Our website, weather.gov/Flagstaff, is where you can find us on the internet. We're also on social media as well. If you like to follow us on Twitter, we're very easy to find. We'll be issuing nowcast storm updates on social media and on our website as well. Robert Rowley will be talking about other ways to get our information, for instance, over CAF Radio, that we're going to be coordinating with them as well. And with that, I'll pass it on to Jim Driscoll. Thank you.